Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. Today we're watching Game 2 from the EWCL Best of 3 series between wAm, spawning in as the gray human in the upper right part of the map. The map is indeed Secret Valley, and his opponent's going to be Jupiter, spawning in as the red orc in the lower left. These games are being cast live in a sense that we're watching the replays, but the games are being cast at twitch.tv/Kirby, so feel free to check that out. We cast the games at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday, every Monday to Friday. So all weekdays. That's what we do. Yeah. So this is game 2. We did watch game 1, which was. It's sometimes it almost feels like it's a bore to watch some long fights, because fights being long is always good. But the problem is really a little bit that fights being long in human versus orc is almost because they're slow. They're slow-paced fights. They're not bad fights. I enjoy watching them, but they're slow-paced fights. And that's just the case. In the sorceress, their casting ability called slow. So they're slowing things down, right? That's what's going on. But they're interesting fights to see, and they're very interesting to watch, and you can actually learn a lot of micro from them. They're very micro-intensive, especially for the players to play. So it's very interesting, because the players are sitting there microing their hearts out for like 10 minutes at a time or something. It's absolutely insane. But human vs. orc just generally has really long fights, so some people are going to like that, some people don't like that. But anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, so we have the Archmage coming out here, and this is going to be kind of clever coming in from clever play coming in from wAm. He's going to use a militia and a footman to creep out the screen camp, and I don't know if he's the first player I've seen doing this, but I haven't seen anyone do this. This is really cool, because this is he only going to do one. He's only going to do one, but that's okay, because he only needs to do one to get level 2 on this Archmage, and that's going to give him level 2 very quickly, very easily, and prevent him from having any of the experience stolen by the Blade Master in the early game. Very, very nice. Of course, he's going to pick up a Gloves of Haste. Not a bad item. Absolutely not a bad item. There is the Blade Master. Let's go ahead and go to the... In the early game, I think it's better to be on the Orc's view. We don't have any observers in the game, unfortunately. I don't know how that happens, but it does now and then. It's hard to get tournament organizers and stuff in every single game sometimes. And sometimes you just don't have any observers. Maybe the players didn't even want observers. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and be in the Orc player's view, because we can that way see the invisible Blade Master on the minimap and stuff like that. It's always nice. Of course, we're just going to see this grind. He's taking a little bit of hits. The Blade Master's going to come over here. He's just going to work on getting experience. Again, really, in general, this is also a matchup that I almost want to say that when you have the human player playing a caster-based strategy, it's usually slightly favored. I think the fights are slightly favored towards the human player. It's very difficult as the orc to deal with that, but the way you deal with that, really, more than anything else, is by having an experience advantage. In last game, we saw Jupiter execute that wonderfully. Of course, this is another game where wAm is going to do some early game harass, and generally, like I said, I think that indicates some tier 2 aggression, generally. So we're going to see probably the Blade Master trying to put some hurt onto the Archmage. Of course, the Blade Master is actually fairly low on life right now, as you can see, and he doesn't have boots yet, so he wants to buy boots. Looks like both players want to buy boots. They're going to the same shop. The Archmage does show up first, and he gets the boots first. Of course, the Blade Master shows up second, so he doesn't get anything. But there's a shop over here that he can run to. It's a little bit unfortunate, however, keep in mind, because he doesn't have the healing on him. He needs to heal up, and this is time that he could be spent going to his own shop and buying, a salve so he can heal up or something. Does he even have a shop? He doesn't have a shop. So actually, this is really bad for the Blade Master, because if you want to do that, he needs to run over to, like, the Fountain of Health. You know what would be really cool, though, is if he bought a Staff of Teleportation and went to the Health Fountain to heal up and then TP back to his base like that. Because if you think about it, how much money are you spending on a shop on this map? None. And normally you spend 130 gold. And then you spend 100 gold on the salves. Well, getting 150 gold instead of 230 gold to be able to basically do the same thing is always really cool. Of course, it's not quite as good in some senses, because you can't run around the map and be making mobility moves while you're healing up, but you can't really be in the fights anyway while the healing salve's there for the most part. You can get some, but it's not really a lot. So it would have been a really cool play. Otherwise, he just kind of ran across the map there for quite some time doing nothing, just getting some passive regen. Meanwhile, the Archmage and the Footman are in the base. They didn't actually get that burrow, which is really nice, but they did do a lot of economy damage. The Orc player has not been getting any wood at all during this time. And as you can see, he's going to go ahead and throw it on a Voodoo Lounge. Why not? He doesn't need declarities anyway, so I suppose there's always that. It's always good to have a shop anyway, so sometimes you don't want the Staff of Teleportation, but I think it would have been a really cool move. I do think it would have been a really, really, really cool move. it would have been cool. It would have been so cool. And I think this is gonna be a game where the human player goes Naga second, but he's going Mountain King second. I don't understand. I just think everyone should play Naga first. Like every game, just Naga. Like that should be the only hero in the game. Just Naga. Such a good hero. So good. Naga Sea Witch. I love her. But anyway, it's getting off topic again. So we have the footmen over here, and they're just running back to the human player's base. It does look like the human player's Archmage is gonna just kind of run around. He is getting a Mountain King, and you know, a Mountain King makes sense in this game. It makes sense on this map for sure, right? Because on this map, you can go with a lot of different choices, but there's 2 healing fountains. You know, it's a game where there's, how do I say? You know, I'll go with a different approach on this one. This is a map where I don't even know what I'm saying. You know what? I don't even know what I'm saying. We're just gonna watch this. We're just gonna cast this game. So here we have the Blade Master. He's kind of low on life. The Orc player is gonna have to retreat from that creep camp, unfortunately, because the human player did show up, which was a very ballsy move. Because that Archmage was pretty much naked. I mean, the only thing he had was a Scroll of Town Portal. There wasn't a lot he could do, really, if the Orc player decided just to go straight for that Archmage, if he was able to get this around, which he potentially could, because there is a Shadow Hunter who can cast a Hex, you know, and then it's like, ooh, well, my Archmage is hexed, and, you know, if he gets surrounded when he's hexed, he can't Town Portal or anything, and he could potentially even die to crits. It's very unlikely. So I guess that's what you would call a quote-unquote high percentage play that the human player did, but I feel like it was ballsy, and I want to commend him for it. So definitely nice. Always good to see some nice ballsy play. Potion of Greater Mana going to be picked up by the Mountain King, a great item, of course, always a great item. Even though there's Brilliance Aura on the map, it's always a great item. It's just, you don't, Brilliance Aura, unless it's at like level 3, generally doesn't give you, it gives you, in a sense, infinite mana, but it doesn't, like, you can't sit there and spam everything on cooldown constantly, so an item like that, always good to have. Especially in those long fights where that actually could come in, that's something that comes into play a lot more, right? When you're in a long fight, your mana is going to be very more likely to deplete all the way through. And so having a way to restore it instantly is just, it's so good, especially on a Mountain King. Oh man, because Mountain King can just bolt things like just crazy, just keep bolting them, just bolt, 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 and it's so good. Of course, you won't want to use that until he's level 3, maybe even level 4, level 3 definitely this time, because he picked up that nice Tome of Intelligence there, because it's kind of inefficient to use it. Because it gives 300 mana, he has 270 max mana, but once he gets level 3, that'll be taken care of. Pretty much, I mean, at 270, he's already pretty much taken care of it, so it's not a huge deal anyway. But yeah, there you go. Of course, we're going to see level 3 being picked up by that Blade Master by creeping out this Fountain of Health. He's just going to maybe, well, he might creep this Red Drake. Does he have Ensnare? Is he researching Ensnare? He's probably, I think, well, last game he researched Ensnare before he got his first Raider. So, looks like he didn't do it this game. Or if he did, maybe he did, but wAm is in his base, so he's going to have to do something about that. He's speed scrolling back to his base. We're just going to see that the adept training for the Spirit Walkers has just now finished. One burrow is down, however, and that, or it might not even finished. He might have just went ahead and canceled that just to get this out, because he was now, you can see he's 49 out of 40 food. He's food capped, and he needed that Spirit Breaker, or Spirit Walker out. So I'm not really sure. We'll find out. Actually, we can click on one. Oh yeah, he canceled it. Oh wow, that is really unfortunate. But really good play by Jupiter. He was about to get supply blocked, so he said, "I'm going to cancel my so close to being finished adept training, so close, but I'm just going to cancel it because I got to get that next Spirit Walker out. I can always research it again right afterwards once I don't have any food, even though it's like that's the situation, right? Because he wasn't going to be able to get food if the human player just sat there and pressed, really hard with the militia and stuff, and did a big sky type push, a sky like push, I guess is, I don't know how you say, that. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, but it was really good play right there from the Orc player, but it was kind of like a fake out from wAm. He was like, actually, I'm gonna go for an expansion. I'm just gonna make you panic a little bit, and you're not, you're just not gonna be ready for it. So, I don't know if wAm was actually trying to cancel that. If he just knows the timing of the adept training, and he wanted to get him to do that, to cancel that, that was really clever if he did. As you can see now, there isn't an adept training, and there would have been otherwise right now. So that's really clever. Of course, Berserker Strength just finished. They finish around the same time. Anyway, like within about a minute of each other. So just delaying it's always good. Of course, we're just going to see, this is really, really cool play coming in from wAm. Just really, really cool play, really good play. And this is a fight happening, just like General. Of course, with the Mountain King in these long fights, it's a different type of play style. It's a much more damage output focused play style with the Mountain King rather than the Blood Mage. Blood Mage is kind of cool as well. But man, I just would like to see a Naga. I would like to see a Naga. Anyway, so we have some more Militia coming into this fight. They're always good. They're just great units. They're defense units, and they're really not bad units. They do 12 to 13 damage. They have 4 armor. They last fairly long when you're fairly close to your town halls like this. And the Blade Master's taking a lot of damage. He has to be very careful. Also, we might see us around going under the Shadow Hunter. So close to being surrounded, but he's keeping those the pathways open with those Spear Walkers. However, another bolt could come in. He did pop that potion of greater mana. Oh, this is going to be really close right now. He needs to be very careful. He could always pop it out with the Windwalk, but he doesn't have a Windwalk to pop it out. He's just going to go ahead and try to kill him. Oh, he kills the peasant. Oh, I'm getting tongue twisted. He's killing the peasants. Oh, the Shadow Hunter is in a lot of trouble. Once again, he can maybe cast another healing wave. Yes, he gets it off, but will he be able to get out of this situation? There's a whole nother bolt coming in. I don't think he's going to live. Those peasants, so useful. Oh, those peasants were so useful right there, providing tons of blockage and actually pretty much getting the last hit on the Shadow Hunter. So there you go. The Mountain King's taking a lot of damage as well. That Blade Master is full on up. He just wants to kill the Mountain King. He says, "Come here, I'm gonna kill you." But the Sorceress says, "I'm gonna slow you," and no, you're not gonna kill the Mountain King because he's my dude, he's my bro, and that's just how it goes. And now the Blade Master is actually on the run. The Mountain King's feeling a little bit more ballsy now that he has that Scroll of Regeneration cast on him, and he says, I feel comfortable. I'm just gonna chase after the Blade Master who was just chasing after me." Or in a Dwarven voice, he would say, "The hunter becomes the hunted." Oh, that's not really how Dwarven people talk. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Anyway, yeah, anyway. Spellbreakers, yay. Spellbreakers, yeah. So we have the Archmage. He's got a Dust of Appearance. Always a good item when you have a Mountain King. You always want that item, because if the Blade Master tries to you know, Windwalk away at like 100 life and you have a Mountain King, you're just like, I'll bolt you, and then you bolt him and then you kill him. And so it makes the Blade Master play a lot more defensively when he's low on life, you know. Otherwise, because if there's nothing that stuns him, if there's no way to disable him, there's no burst damage like with the Blood Mage, then he can just go and play, like, if he has enough mana, like 150 mana, then he can be attacking you if he has like 50 life, because he knows that the second you turn on him, he's just going to Windwalk, and he's not going to die. And so that allows him to be much more effective. And it also, it's another thing too, when you always should consider having how the way you're playing makes your opponent split their attention. Because if you have the Mountain King, you know that they're gonna pay more attention to the lives of their units, every one of them, because they're gonna have to move them back when they're lower HP. They have to cast those healing waves a little bit sooner. And if they're trying to play really, really close to the edge, you know, and the Orc really has to do that. If he doesn't have an experience advantage, then when you have something that has that burst damage, it is just so much harder to play against it, and it is just one of those things that takes a lot of attention, a lot of focus onto your heroes, and you don't get to micro your other units quite as well, just because of the amount of like that you have to have like that reserved, like that part of your eye has to be like just looking at the life on your heroes at all times, because otherwise you could lose it. Now you could say, well, you always have to do that to some extent, and you do, but whenever there's burst damage, like if you're a human player playing against a high level Death Knight, Lich, Crypt Lord, right, you're going to have a lot of attention on the life bars of your heroes, because at any second you can take like 600 damage or something from like the undead army, which could just about kill one of your heroes. So you have to be really, really careful. It just has a different way to play against it, right? And so that's just one thing you should always consider whenever you're looking at your army compositions. Always think about that. How does it make them play? And then you can kind of play accordingly, right? Just say, you know, you can kind of abuse it, because if you know that they're going to be super focused on their hero when it's low on life, you don't necessarily have to go for it. You can start going for other units that are going to play a little bit sloppier at that point with their other units. So just, you know, one thing to think about. Anyway, so the Orc player is working on getting expansion up down here. He does just have that burrow first. That's the first thing he wants to put down. He could potentially, I don't know what his tier is. He is at Stronghold, so he's going to have to slow build that, and he definitely cannot buy a little tiny Great Hall, because that's a tier 3 upgrade. And if he was tier 3, he'd probably have an Orb of Lightning, which would be really nice. Anyway, so this is gonna be a fight. Of course, the human player does have an expansion up right now, so this is looking worse and worse for Jupiter, unless he can do something, because he doesn't quite have his expansion up himself, but the human player does have an expansion up, and we're just gonna have to wait and see. Can Jupiter turn this fight around? He's got a lot of peons in this fight. It might look like he has a decent army, but he doesn't really. He's 53 food versus 73. He's quite far down right now. And his Blade Master's taking a lot of focus damage. He will go ahead and pop that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well as get a Healing Wave on him just to try to keep him alive. He's got a great little Ancient Jango of Endurance going, but again, he's not level 5, so he's not getting those scary crits. He didn't get that great of items either, really. There's no claws of attack or anything. And this is a map that can drop like 2 + 9 claws of attack. It's really insane. I mean, so it's really kind of unfortunate item luck there for Jupiter. And in fact, he's going to go ahead and say good game as he just isn't turning things out the way he needs to. Just not getting out the pressure he needs to be putting out. And that's unfortunate. But that's good game. That's game number 2. So we're going to go into game 3 here in just a second after about a 2-minute break. I always like to take a little bit longer break before the game 3. So that's 1-1. Have a little tension. If you're watching on YouTube, hopefully there is going to be an annotation right here that'll be able to take you right on to game 3. So just feel free to click it. And if you're on the stream, like I said, I'll be back in 2 minutes. So thanks for watching and stay tuned.